about to go off to camp for like a week. So I am leaving in like hour, maybe. So I'm gonna try and film this as fast as possible and then edit it, doing as little editing as possible, and then schedule it to upload. So I'm pre-filming this. Hopefully it'll be up sometime during the week that's the end of June, beginning of July, but it might not be up until like after the 4th when I get back. So I will do my best. We'll see when this goes up. Hello lovely people, my name's Nicole and today I am doing my June wrap up. As I said, I don't have very much time to do this, so I'm going to try and get through all of these as fast as possible. If the editing on this is not very good, I'm sorry, that's because I'm trying to do it quickly. So let's just get started. The first book that I read is Proof of Forever by Alexa Hillier. This is about 4 different girls who used to go to camp together and over time have sort of grown apart after they like graduated from their camp, and then one day they have a camp reunion and they get sent back in time to relive the last week of their camp experience. I enjoyed this. I think when I read it I wasn't really in quite that great of a reading mood, so I didn't enjoy this as much as I think I could have. Let me scoot over, I'm off center. And so I didn't give this, I think if I'd read it when I was in a better mood I would have given it like 4 stars. But as it was, I felt just kind of meh about it. There wasn't anything I specifically disliked about it, but I will say that Zoe's plotline was probably my favorite for reasons that will become clear when you read it. So I gave this 3.5 stars, and I have a full review on Goodreads. Next, I read Very Good Lives, The Fringe Benefits of Failure and the Importance of Imagination by J.K. Rowling. This is a commencement speech that she gave at Harvard's graduation, and it's just very inspirational and wonderful, and it's super, super short. It's like under 100 pages, and there's lots of illustrations and stuff, so I highly recommend you read this. I read it just like right as I was graduating, so it was very fitting in my life, and I highly recommend you read it. I gave it 5 stars. Next, I read Miss Marvel Volume 1, No Normal, and this is about a girl who named Kamala, who over her life dealing with strict parents and being sort of not like outright bullied but teased a little bit, sort of an outcast because she's Muslim. And she becomes the new Miss Marvel and has to deal with, oh, she has all these new powers. And I enjoyed this. I'm not quite used to the comic book format. I'm more used to a more like, I don't know, like smooth almost, more complete story arc of a graphic novel. So I wasn't quite used to the whole like superhero story that isn't really a complete story. It's just one part of many. So I gave this 4 stars. The next book I read was The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy by Sam Maggs. A lot of people have been just raving about this, saying how much they love it. I enjoyed it. I think my problem with it was just that I already knew most of the information because I am very involved in sort of the fan community, particularly on Tumblr and Twitter. So it wasn't any really like new information for me, except for in like the anime fandoms and stuff, because I am not super familiar with that part. But so a lot of the stuff wasn't like, oh, new information. No, it was stuff that I've already known, and a couple of like the definitions and things I'm like, like that may be the technical definition, but sort of the working definition isn't quite right. And a number of the times some of the language felt a little bit like an excited 12-year-old, which tends to be a lot of sort of the vernacular of the fandom world. People get excited and speak in ridiculous words. That being said, I really enjoyed this. I particularly loved the end section on feminism. I thought that was super well done. And I think there's a really good part where it talks about calling someone out without like attacking them, and talking about how you can be a fan of something and still acknowledge the fact that it has faults and that there are things that can be better, that can be fixed, while still saying like, yes, this is the thing I enjoy, I'm a fan of this. And I think that was really well done. I think I would have enjoyed this more if I was younger, and less involved in this world. I think it works better as a more introductory thing. But overall, I definitely think this is a great read and very useful for anyone who wants to get into the world of fandom, or like wants to learn how to do conventions or anything like that. And I definitely recommend it. I think it's also a great reference point if you want to get into different kinds of fandoms or learn about what sort of the best like comic books to start off with are, or things like that. So I gave this 3.5 stars. Next, I read Seriously Hamlet by William Shakespeare and Courtney Carbone. I'm doing a project with Hamlet with some friends right now, so that's the reason why I read this. This is Hamlet told through text messages and emojis and social media, and I've seen a lot of people look at these on Tumblr and be like, oh my god, you're destroying the sanctity of Shakespeare, and my response to that is like, dude, calm down. They're vaguely funny. They're not like comedic genius. I found it entertaining. The thing about Shakespeare is that he's fucking ridiculous. Half his jokes, half of his plays are just like dick jokes and bad puns, or bad puns about penises. It's fantastic. Like, he's not some ridiculous highbrow, I'm better than you because I know Shakespeare kind of thing. And honestly, I think if he were alive today, he would really love social media and like playing with that. And so I enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun, and I gave it 3 stars. Next, I read More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This book is kind of an emotional roller coaster. It's a lot, and it's about a boy who lives in a near future Bronx, and he is struggling with his sexuality. And there's a little bit of sort of a sci-fi element to it, but it's mostly realistic fiction. And it is so good. Like, I cannot stress to you how good this book is. I absolutely loved it. It was emotional, and I was so connected to all the characters. And I want to reread it because there's so much just like little hints to things that are like smooth, casual foreshadowing. And oh, it was so well done. So good. And there was a moment where just one tiny little piece of information was hinted at and everything clicks into place, and it's just like, holy shit, what even is going on? It's amazing. I highly recommend it. It made me cry. It was fantastic. I gave this 5 stars. Next, I read Lumberjanes Volume 1, written by Noelle Stevenson, Grace Ellis, and illustrated by Brooke Allen. This is about a group of girls who go to this awesome summer camp, and they find all sort of weird things there. It's so much fun. I definitely recommend this. All the different characters were so unique and distinct and just hilarious. A lot of the sort of illustration style was very humorous and just absolutely fantastic. I loved this. I cannot wait to pick up the 2nd volume. I was a little surprised because since the cover's illustrated by Noelle Stevenson, and she is actually the reason that I picked this up because I love her work, I expected the inside to be illustrated by Noelle Stevenson, but it's not. And like, I'm okay with that. It's, like, I love the style of the art in the inside. It's just, it was a little bit of a surprise for me. But overall, I loved this. I gave it 5 stars, and I highly recommend it to anyone who wants just a fun, humorous graphic novel. Then I started to read, this was actually a DNF, Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is a dystopian about a girl who lives in this world where everything is just kind of gone to shit. There's like no water, and everyone is very violent. She and her family live in a gated community that even then they're not fully protected. And basically what happens is her entire family dies fairly early on in the story, and she has to go out into the world, and she basically creates her own religion. And I really didn't like this. I got about 200 pages in before putting it down. I was reading it for school, and so I pretty much just read enough that I could like answer the questions that I needed to answer, and then I just put it down. I'm not someone who enjoys reading about religion in books, so that was sort of an issue for me because one of the main themes of this book is religion. And on top of that, just the world building wasn't very good for me, and they talked about sexual assault a lot in this, but not actually like addressing it. It was just sort of a casual mention over and over and over again, but it was never actually addressed, like the effects that it had, or stressed how serious it was. Because like, I get that they were trying to build this world, this like horrible world where bad things happen, but like, I'm not okay with it just being like thrown around so casually. That's not something that I'm okay with reading about or supporting, and it made me really uncomfortable, and so I could not read any more of this, so I didn't finish it. Next, I read Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. This is another one that I read for the same class. This is another did not finish. Again, I read pretty much as much as I had to answer like questions about it, and I didn't hate this one. I just sort of like wasn't really feeling it. It's a sci-fi world where people can like have their consciousness downloaded and then inserted into another body. Yeah, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with this. It's just, I wasn't really feeling it. It's sort of a sci-fi mystery, like detective novel, and I'm not super into that genre, so it just wasn't for me. Next, I read A Wicked Thing by Rhiannon Thomas, and I was so disappointed by this one. I was really excited to pick it up because it's a fairy tale retelling, kind of. It's more of a fairy tale continuation. It picks up right after Sleeping Beauty gets woken up. You know, there's this random guy in her room kissing her, and suddenly she finds out that like all her friends and family are dead, and 100 years have gone by, and she's freaking out. And I was so excited. I thought it was gonna be hilarious and awesome and so much fun, but overall it was just blah. The Aurora was so just bland and meek, and everyone was being so horrible to her, and they were like using her and manipulating her, and I just wanted her to just snap at some point and call them out on all their shit, and she never did. She just continued to just be like, yeah, okay, I guess, I mean, like, I'd prefer not to, but okay, I'm fine with that. I guess I can be fine with that. And it really frustrated me because she never stood up for herself. And there were a number of like characters that were introduced and just sort of played as important characters for a tiny bit of time and then never seen again. And it was just, didn't work for me. It didn't feel like anything like dramatic ever actually happened. It didn't feel like any of the characters had all that much depth to them. It wasn't for me. I was disappointed. I was so disappointed, especially because I had such high hopes. So I only gave this 1 star, unfortunately. Next, I read Anything Could Happen by Will Walton. This book is about a teenage boy in a small town who realizes that he is in love with his best guy friend. And this was so much fun. It was light, it was fluffy, it was adorable. I love the main character. He's such a sweetheart. He's so funny. Like, he's the kind of person I genuinely want to be friends with. And yeah, it was just, I don't really have all that much to say about it other than I really genuinely enjoyed my time reading it. All the characters seem like great people. Like, there's no one who was like, this is the villain. It was just sort of like, it was a fun read. Everyone seems like people I would want to be friends with, and like, there's a lot of really good friendship in it, and it didn't go, it could have very easily followed some very, like, obvious storylines and tropes, but it didn't, and I really genuinely enjoyed this, so I gave it 5 stars. And the last 2 books that I read are combined into one giant volume, and that is Obsidian and Onyx from the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read both of these, this entire book, 800 pages, within 24 hours. Oh my god, this series is so addictive. And Damon Black. Oh. So if you don't know what this series is about, this is about a 17-year-old girl who moves into a new town, and she moves in next door to a very hot alien. And so yeah, it's like a sci-fi paranormal romance, and it's really kind of silly and cheesy at times, but I loved it. It was so much fun. I really appreciated how our main character, Katie, or Kat, I don't know, Damon calls her Kat, most other people call her Katie, so, I don't know, but I really appreciated how she really was, she did not want to be the damsel in distress. She did not want to be the victim. She didn't want people to have to, like, come save her, and so she was very insistent on, like, no, I'm going with you, I want to help, like, I want to learn how to fight, I want to learn how to take care of myself, don't just, like, stand around trying to protect me, I can take care of myself, and I really appreciated that. It would have been nice if that sort of played into more of the climax of the book, but, I really enjoyed Katie as a character, and the fact that she's a book blogger just makes me so happy. Damon is sassy and adorable, and I adore him. Although there were a couple of times where Katie was saying, yeah, I don't want to make out with you or touch you or anything. And he's like, I can tell you're attracted to me. It's fine. We're gonna make out now. And I'm just like, eh. Like, even if she is physically attracted to you or turned on, she's still saying she doesn't want to. You don't have consent. Maybe don't. That made me a little bit uncomfortable. But overall, I really enjoyed these books. I don't think they're, like, mind-blowingly the best books I've ever read or anything that's particularly, like, unique, but I really, really enjoyed them, so I gave them both 4 stars. Alright, so those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books that I read this month. I hope you enjoyed this. I have to go edit as fast as possible and see if I can upload this before I have to go. I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye!